Hey everybody, Coach Matt, EliteThrowsCoaching.com, and we are on week 2, day 2, talking about bench press. Now, if you watched yesterday's video, we went through sort of a whole process of how to kind of identify the exercise that you did last week and that we're only going to be making one change. So yesterday in squat, we listed everything that made up that box squat. We listed the type of shoes I was wearing, the fact I was wearing a belt, knee sleeves, that it was an 18-inch box, it was straight weight, it was a bar on my back. All that stuff we went through yesterday, and we made one change. The only change we made was the height of the box. It went from 18 1/8 inch because of the little rubber on top of the box to, I think it was like 16 3/4 of an inch, or 16 7/8 or something like that. It was just under 17 inches. So it was about 1.25 inch difference or so from the box that I used during week 1. So the exercise stayed exactly the same. All we changed was the height of the box. Today I want to show you a way to do it a little bit differently. Now today is a pressing day. Last week the exercise that I chose was a Swiss bar bench with a pause. We used the middle handles on the bench. It was just a regular tempo down and up. We just had the pause in the middle. It was straight weight, so there was no chains, there was no bands, there was no accommodating resistance. My feet were on the ground. Sometimes I like to bench with my feet up on the bench, but my feet were on the ground. And the rep scheme that we used was very easy set of 10, an easy set of 8, easy set of 5, medium set of 5, and then kind of a heavy-ish, like a medium to heavy set of 5. So what I'm going to show you today is that we can choose one thing like we did yesterday, keep the exercise the same, but change one aspect of the exercise, or we can totally change the exercise while trying to keep everything else the same. The strategy that we're going to take with our main exercise today is not switching up any of the kind of variations of the main exercise. We're going to be switching up the main exercise itself. So all the attributes are going to stay the same. It's still going to have a pause, just like last week. It's still going to be more of a neutral medium grip. We're not going super wide, we're not going super narrow. It's a normal tempo on the way down, a normal tempo on the way up. We are still going to be using straight weight, so no bands, no chains. I'm still keeping my feet on the ground, so I'm not going to put my feet up on the bench. Still the same repetition scheme, 10, 8, 5, 5, 5, working up to sort of a medium to heavy set of 5 on my last one. The only thing that we are going to be changing is the main exercise. So squat day yesterday, it was the same exercise, but we changed one attribute. We changed the height of the box. This, we're keeping all the attributes exactly the same, but we're changing the exercise. So you can change up the exercise as well if you have enough equipment and if you have enough knowledge of kind of your own body and what feels good for you and what weaknesses you have to correct and what strength you have to build. So what I'm going to do today is a pause press into a half foam roller. So foam rollers normally are a 6-inch cylinder. It's a 6-inch roller that's fully round. This one is cut right down the middle to make more of a half moon shape. So it's a 3-inch thick, more of a half moon shape roller. I'm going to show that to you in the video. What that does is the bar will sink into the roller about 2 inches, and that's going to leave the bar about 1 inch off my chest. Then from there we pause when it hits that point and it can no longer compress the foam anymore, and then press. Why am I doing this exercise today? Well, again, it's going to improve my weakness. My weakness, as I said last week, is pressing the bar off the chest, getting it moving off the chest after that competition pause. So once the bar is about 1 inch or 2 off my chest, then I can lock it out. It's getting that initial pop off the chest, getting the bar moving after the pause. So by going into foam, it's going to pause the bar about 1 inch off my chest. And that is my sticking point. That is my weak point. That's where I need to get stronger. So by pausing at that point, I'm actually going to be putting the bar directly at the point where I am at my weakest, where I get stuck. So it's going to help improve that weakness, get me stronger in that point. So again, building strength where I need it the most, but it also is going to work around injuries. By not bringing the bar all the way down to a full range of motion, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of my shoulders as well. So when you select your exercises and when you make these changes, you have to make sure that the exercises that you pick and the changes that you make are still going to be leaning toward your goals. So if my goal was to, for example, build strength endurance, say I was getting involved in like some type of an endurance-based contest, like I don't know, like a Spartan race, or if I was going to do some type of like a CrossFit workout where there's a lot of high repetitions, well, now the goals are going to be a little bit different. Now the goals are going to be to build endurance. The goals aren't going to be to add size. So I'm going to start messing with things like the amount of rest that I'm taking is going to be less and less. The weight I'm using is less and less. The repetitions that I do, more and more. The sets that I do, more and more. But that's not my goals. So when you select these changes, when you make these little changes to the variables or to the exercises, you have to make sure that you're still keeping your goals in mind. You're not just making changes for the sake of changing something. You're actually making a change and making these little tweaks and these little adjustments to hone in on exactly where you need to build strength and improve weakness, working around whatever injuries you might have. Now the rest of the workout is pretty much going to be identical to what we did on week 1, day 2. So the warm-up stretches that I did are going to be exactly the same. The warm-up exercise circuit that I did is going to be exactly the same. And the way I go through it is going to be exactly the same. Stretch, circuit, stretch, circuit, stretch, circuit. So I'm going to go through each one 3 times. If you need to see that, that's week 1, day 2. Go back and check out that video. Again, the main movement we have changed. The accessory exercises, I'm not going to change the exercises because it's really tough because 2 of these were body weight. So you can do things like put on a weighted vest, or you could change angles and whatnot. I'm not going to go crazy with that today because, again, I want to show you some different ways of switching this up a little bit and how to track it. So I'm going to keep the exercises exactly the same. What I'm going to change is going to be the amount of sets that I do. So last week I did Trx Rows, 4 sets of 20. This week I'm just going to add a set. We're going to do 5 sets of 20. Now squat day yesterday with the face pulls and the reverse hypers, adding that 1 extra set really didn't fatigue me that much. It wasn't like I added a lot of extra weight because that yesterday really did fatigue me, really did hurt more. Same thing, going to the lower box yesterday, that fatigued me, that hurt a lot more, that really tired me out. So I'm not going to do that today. I learned my lesson from yesterday. What I'm going to do today is just add 1 set. Same thing goes with the Swiss bar push-up. I'm going to keep the Swiss bar at the same exact height on the rack that I used last week, but instead I'm going to be doing 1 extra set. The press downs with 4 sets of 15, I'm going to keep everything exactly the same, but this time I'm going to try to increase the weight. Now this is going to be tough. I might not get 15, but I'm going to start at 70 and then everything else is going to bump up to 80. So second will be 80, the third set will be 80, and the 4th set will be 80. Now, if I can't get 15, especially on that 4th set, if I can't get 15 repetitions on that, I'm just going to write down what I can get. Maybe it's 13, maybe it's 12, who knows. I'm just going to write down what I was able to get. That way I have a record that I need to break next time we do these exercises, which is going to be week 3. I know what I did during week 1. I know what I did during week 2. Now I can go back and say, what I do during week 2, let's try to break the record, or let's try to go a little bit heavier weight and keep the same amount of repetitions. So there's ways that you can play a game with yourself to make sure that you are actually breaking records every time you step foot in the gym. Especially when it comes to your accessory exercises, you've got to write this stuff down because you're not going to remember, was it 70, 80, 80, 80? Was it 70, 70, 80, 80? 70, 70, 70, 80, 70, 80, 90, 90? What did I do last week? I don't remember. What did I do week 1? I don't remember. That was a couple weeks ago. Especially when you're on something like week 5, week 6, week 7. You're not going to remember what you did week 2 or week 3. It's all going to mush together and blend together. So that's why you've got to track this stuff. You've got to write this stuff down just get a notebook, write it down. That way you can look back to what you did the week prior and actually break records and make sure that you are improving. Okay, so let's get started. I'm not going to show you the warm-up stretches or the warm-up circuit. That is all in week 1's day 2 video. If you want to check that out, please go check that out to see the exercises that I'm doing. I'm just going to start you off by explaining that new movement during the voiceover and showing you what that pause press to a half foam roller actually looks like. Hope you guys enjoy the video. If there's any changes or I have to call any audibles or report anything big that happened during the workout to you guys, I will do that at the end of this video. Hope you enjoy it, and make sure to leave any questions down below if you have them. Alrighty, so let's take a look at this foam press. So that is a 6-inch roller that has been cut right down the middle. So it's basically a half moon shaped 3-inch roller. And what you're going to see here is that with the empty bar, it barely sinks in at all. Maybe a 1/4 of an inch it sinks in. Not a whole lot at all. I'm pausing. When it does sink all the way in, you can see a little bit of an indent now if you look closely. Pausing, pressing, very basic, very simple stuff. Just working on, again, moving the bar and getting nice amount of speed, pausing, and then exploding off the chest. First set of 10 with an empty bar. Here we're moving on. This is my second set of 8 repetitions with 95 pounds on the bar. Same idea. It's going to sink a little bit deeper into the foam. When it comes to a complete stop, I'm going to explode up as hard as I can. Nice big explosive push. And you can see just by the dent in the foam, it is going a little bit deeper, maybe only about an inch at this point. So the bar is still about 2 inches off of my chest, but that's fine. These 2 sets are always kind of warm-up sets when I get started up here. But you can see sinking in, making a little bit of a dent, not too bad. So this is my first, I guess if you want to call it working set, this is my first set of 5 with 135. Now in this, I actually had to move the camera after this because you can't see it because of the plates sinking into the foam, but it is sinking in about halfway down at this point. So it's about 1.5 inches off my chest before I push up and press. Still working on that compensatory acceleration principle, moving the bar as fast as possible on the way up. So move the camera to give you guys a better view of the foam pad and of my belly. So you can see when it comes down, sinks in a lot more before I press. So now it's about 1 inch. It's kind of fully compressed as far as the foam will go. It's about 1 inch off my chest. Again, pausing when it gets down there for about 1/2 second and then pressing back up. Pretty simple stuff. And now the last set, I actually put 205 on the bar. Last week I did, oh, that's actually a really good shot too of the foam, that half roller. But here's 205. 205, again, pretty easy. Today was kind of I should have done a lot more today. And I feel like it's only week 2. I'm going to go heavier. It's going to progress. This is a 12-week plan. This is what I'm trying to tell myself. But even in telling myself that, I know it was just way too light and I should have planned on going heavier. You can see that here too. This is kind of a blah day. So you can see it in these. This was my 3rd set of 5 with Trx Rows. I did 5 sets of 20 today. Last week, my 4th set of 20, which was my final set last week. The last couple of reps felt really tough. So this week I said, all right, let's add one more set. And maybe I won't even get 20 on that 5th set. Maybe I'll only get like 17 or 18 because, again, last week these were a lot tougher. This week I added in a 5th set, so an extra 20 repetitions. Figured, man, this is going to be tough. This is set number 3 right here, and that's 20 reps, pretty easy. This is the 5th and final set. You can see that when I do get to around number 15 or 16, it is a little bit of a struggle. They definitely are not moving as smoothly or as quickly as the previous couple of rounds, but it is a little bit tougher, but I'm still able to get all 20 reps without any issue. Really not a struggle. Again, another one of these where I should have figured it out and should have gone a little bit heavier. Tried to do maybe a different, more challenging movement. Try to move my feet in a little bit more or lengthen
the strap length so that it's a little bit longer, putting me a little bit closer to the ground, something. But here's the last couple reps. You can tell they're a little bit tougher, but I'm still able to complete them, get all 20. Again, I'll make a note. We'll do that again for next week. Speaking of next week, this is something that is really going to have to change next week. 5 sets of 15 of the Swiss bar press or Swiss bar push-ups, I should say, with my hands all the way out on the widest grip. And yeah, these were way too easy. 5 sets of 15. I figured by adding that extra set of 15, those extra 15 reps to get in more volume, it would make it a little bit more difficult, but it was just way too easy. So have to make some adjustments next week. Tricep press downs. This is my second set of the day, but my first set with 80 pounds. I do get all 15 of these. Actually, at the very end of this video, I'll break down kind of what happened here. But you can see with a couple more left to go, I start to stop at the very top and really try to kind of keep my form as good as it can be, trying not to use too much of my shoulders when I press down and just use triceps. So it's my second set. I did 70 for 15 on the first set. This was 80 for 15. This is set number 3. This is 80 for 14. So I'm really starting to feel fatigued at the end of this set. It's really starting to get heavy, and at this point I knew like I was right about where I should have been. This is what the rest of my workout should have felt like. So I knew I kind of hit this thing on the money right here. That 80-pound mark would have been really good. But again, the planning wasn't perfect, but I'm glad at least that there was an exercise in the workout today that felt the appropriate amount of difficulty. And this is the last set. I only get 12 and a half here. I can't even finish that 13th rep at the end. But 12 and a half, again, with 80 pounds. So feeling some fatigue, feeling a little bit of a pump in the tricep. Good way to end the day. It was kind of a blah day. It was just getting the work done. I should have gone a lot heavier. I should have made it a lot harder. But again, realize I'm going to write all this stuff down, as you guys should be writing it down as well. We'll make up for it, and we'll make it a little bit harder when we get to it next week. So that's my 12 and a half rep right there.
So if there was one word to describe today's workout, it would be blah. Today was just a very blah day. It's like that meme. It's an honest day's work. I'm not disappointed with how I did today. I'm disappointed with, I guess, the way everything felt. I know it was a progression over what I did last week, but the progressions did not feel anywhere near hard enough on certain exercises, and they felt way too much on others. So the main movement, which was the pause press to that half foam roller, I worked up to a set of 5 at 205. Last week on the Swiss bar, I did a set of 5 at 200. 205 felt good, not really heavy at all. I probably could have gotten maybe another 3-4 reps out of it if I really pushed myself. The rest of it just felt way too easy. 95, 135, 185, way too easy. So I've got to mark that down and write that down. So 3 weeks from now on week 5, when I revisit this exercise, I know I've got to go heavier than that, because I'm going to have to push myself to make those feel hard, make them feel heavy. The Trx Rows, I showed you a couple of different sets of those. They were pretty tough toward the end. The 5th set of 20, the last 5 or 6 were, pretty tough. I was able to get them all done, but again, nothing really to write home about, nothing too crazy. The Swiss bar push-ups, way too easy. 5 sets of 15 with 1 minute rest. I figured 75 repetitions, 15 more than last week. I'm going to be feeling it on the last one. It was just way too easy. So next week when I do these exercises again, I'm going to have to figure out a way to make this harder. I'm either going to have to drop the bar down to a lower level on that rack. I'm going to have to find something to do. It's probably going to be dropping the bar down. I don't think I want to add more repetitions because I'm already doing 5 sets of 15. I think next week if I do 5 sets of 15 but at a lower level, it's going to make it a little bit more challenging. And finally, on the triangle, the V-bar press down, the tricep press down, first set of 15 at 70 pounds, really good, really easy. Second set of 15 at 80 pounds, pretty good, but you could feel it was heavier. From there, the third set, I only got 14, and the fourth set, I only got like 12 and a half reps. I couldn't even finish that 13th rep all the way. So this was, I think, probably right on the money. Last week, I went 60, 70, 70, 70. This week, if I went 70, 70, 70, 70, that probably would have been too easy. Maybe hindsight being 20/20, I should have gone 70, 70, 80, 80, just so it wasn't as big of a jump over last week. But again, I'll write all that down. I'll mark all that down in my notebook. I'll make a little note next to it just saying how each one felt. That way, when I get here next week and I've got the same exercise next week, I know that I either have to stick with this and break that record or lighten it up a little bit and get 15 on all of them. I'm not sure what I'm going to do just yet. Probably keep the weight exactly the same and try to do more repetitions, try to break that record and have a goal to go for. So that's kind of it for today. Got it done, got in, got out. About an hour and 15-minute workout, and that includes, moving the camera around and doing all that stuff. That also includes the couple of extra sets of push-ups and Trx rows. All in all, pretty normal day, nothing too spectacular, nothing too exciting to write home about, but got the work done, moving on. So tomorrow is the day off. We'll come in here and film some throwing stuff for all of you, and then we will be back again for the third day, which is our deadlift. We'll show you how we're gonna modify that. And fourth day is the overhead work, kind of the leftover workout that we did. So make sure you guys, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. I know this video series might not apply to you right now, but we are all gonna be back in the gym very soon, and you're gonna need a way to get back to work and get back to business and get back in the weight room without getting hurt, without crushing yourself, and having some good progressions and some good goals for the off season. This is how you get it done. Make sure, guys, put these in a playlist, bookmark them, whatever you have to do. If there's any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below.